You ever see Chevy Chase's impression of Gerald Ford falling down?
Oh yeah, right. That's what's so funny about like how like shallow people's knowledge of history is that that's all anybody can tell you about Gerald Ford is that he fell down. Ask anybody about what Bill Clinton actually did in office. He was president for 8 years.
Wow.
He got his dick sucked, and he did the thing with the cigar.
I didn't even realize he was president for 8 years.
Yeah, two-term president. He did a lot. I mean, like, but that's all. Once people pick out one thing, it's like that's your thing.
When I grew up in the ghetto, well, not even the ghetto, but more of a urban school, there wasn't many white kids. All the black kids used to call me Bill Clinton. They'd be like, Little Bill.
Wow.
Little Bill Clinton.
Hey, that's a good thing.
I kind of look like him.
Yeah, a little bit.
My hair, maybe.
A
Yeah.
little bit country, but also like, yeah, a little slick.
Yeah.
Slick Willie.
Slick Willie. I made the most money I've ever made in my life when Clinton was president. That's something I could stand by.
Wait, what?
I don't know if that means anything.
Before the year 2000?
I was working at the car wash, and dude, it was just.
Wait, no, you were like 14.
No,
15?
It was 2003.
No, Clinton was president from 92 to 2000.
Oh,
That was George Bush.
Oh, so the most money I made was when Bush was president.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder why that was.
Post 9/11. Well, that was just because you happened to be that age. It's not, I mean,
Yeah.
you were like of like prime, like working. Well, not prime, but you were of a good working age. Where
Man, dude, how much does a boss love it when they get some 18-year-old kid? They know
Eager.
they need them.
Oh yeah. Well, you just especially if you know the kid's got a car note.
A car note, a kid. Oh, you got two kids?
Oh yeah. Ooh.
Oh, I got you. Let me put your matter of fact, I need you to come in Saturday.
Yeah.
You
We're
want
not
your-
giving you any paid time off.
Yeah, think about your family. They
Right.
whisper it in your ear, dude, these bosses.
Yeah.
You know, when you do something so long, it's just second nature to you. I was a boss for 10 years. People might say, yo, that guy's an asshole. It's like, no, I'm just doing what a boss would do here. I'm not going to work Saturday.
Somebody's got to play that role. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, someone's got to come in.
Somebody needs to open up Saturday.
It's so funny too, because back when I was that age, I was working retail, and it's like basically minimum wage, a couple bucks more minimum wage. And I was a college student, broke, but then there's one guy at that job who's like making the same money I make, but he's got 2 kids and a wife, and it's like, oh wow, I'm coming in hungover, and it's like just trying to get through the day. This dude is like, you can see the pressure on somebody's face when they really need the money like that.
Oh, yeah. You know when you could really tell? I've worked with plenty of guys like that, and they'll have a little thing. They'll stash a little dollar bill away here and there,
Yeah.
and they like it's so secretive. Their wife don't know they got $20 in the trunk of their car.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have a little something away from the missus.
But man, it's brutal just watching it, because I remember I was like 18 and this guy was like 20.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it was like he was like a grown adult. Looking back, he was a kid.
Right.
And he was like, I cannot believe the amount of pressure that guy must have been under I don't even know how you make that work.
Yeah, same amount of money too.
$14 an hour.
Wow.
And you're raising kids.
I don't know how my father did it now that I'm on my own, and I'm like, I mean, he worked hard, you know. That's why I try to thank him as much as I could. I was a young, childish kid. I was a punk. Oh, we had it rough and this and that. But thinking about it, dude, I mean, we had food, you know, we did.
Well, you were
stuff.
working too pretty early.
Yeah, I was, but still, dude, he had 2 kids, man. We had cable, we had air conditioner in the summer.
Right.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't swing that type of money.
Yeah.
Kids always eat. Me and my brother always ate.
Right.
I know my dad would have to be getting mad at how much we'd eat.
Wow.
Like eating out of boredom. And he didn't, like, he earned his money. He had to paint cars, and he got hurt to make his money.
Well, those guys too, it's like they're not like, these aren't complaining kind of guys.
No.
Where it's like, no, that's just what you do.
Yeah, it's that whole thing. I think me and you talked about this before. My father grew up without a dad, so he didn't want me. He's like, yo, my son's going to have a dad.
Right, yeah.
And now, see, I had a dad that worked, so, you know, I'm probably going to have some estranged kids running around.
Right, yeah. Then they're going to have kids, and it's going to be good for them.
I'm going to create good fathers.
Man, it must be like, think about if you grew up like poor though, and you couldn't afford to eat, and then you got kids that are just like overweight.
Yeah.
You'd be psyched.
Yeah.
It's like, look at my boy.
You made it.
This
yeah.
boy's big as hell.
My son.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
This kid eats 3 Happy Meals at once.
Look at his ankles.
Yeah, right?
Pointing out things
This
you always
kid's got
wish you
sodium.
had. Yeah.
There's sodium in his blood.
Can't see a vein on him. I was growing up, all my veins showed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always you want your kids to have what you didn't have. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd be able to buckle down and do that type of job. I'd skip the country, dude.
Well, it's just about like who's like the star of the show, right? Because it's like I think we both had the kind of parents where it's like, no, that's like we're putting it all into the kids. But it's like if you're like a show business parent, where like you're trying to be famous,
Yeah.
then your kids are basically it's more like a burden.
Right.
Where it's like I got to deal with this, but like no, that like old school mentality is like no, it's all for the kids.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever I got to do.
I know a guy from my hometown actually, and he was doing his thing a little bit, but dude, right after high school, he saved up 2 years, worked to try to. He moved to L.A. or here he went to Juilliard. He saved for it or something.
Yeah.
But he was saying, he's like, yeah, man, it's too old. You can't start acting when you're 20. You got to start when you're 2.
Wow.
So he started his daughter acting classes 2 years old. Like,
Wow.
I don't even know what you would teach him. She's been in commercials, a Disney show. She's like 7 now, got a nice resume. But that's really the thing now. You got to really start acting when you're about 2 years old.
It takes so long to become successful that it's like, yeah, you start them acting at 2, and then they actually get successful at like 30.
Right.
But they're 30 years old playing a 12-year-old.
Right.
Something like that. Yeah.
And then they never had that 2-year-old childhood.
And then you wonder why Hollywood people are fucked up.
Right.
And it's like you've been under that much pressure for that long.
Yeah.
Let's
Can't be
think,
a
too.
kid.
It's like I don't think either of us had that much pressure from our parents.
No.
Your dad wasn't like, I need you to become a successful comedian.
No,
It
no,
was
no.
just, your dad's like, no, you got to get good at washing cars.
Yeah. Work
Eventually you
hard.
become the manager, you work hard, maybe you end up getting married and having kids or something. But if you didn't have show business parents,
Right.
think about that.
Yeah, you got to do it better. I told you, Tootie, it's like this. But bam, 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 bam.
Well, just think if you had a parent who was like, no, you got to go do open mics tonight.
Right.
Yeah, you got to do 4 mics tonight.
Yeah.
That would have been a totally different game.
Well, isn't that type of the parents you grew up with, weren't they? Like, isn't your brother like a doctor or something?
Nah. My
that was
brother is
racist.
like,
I'm sorry.
no, he's like a software. He works in like coding. He's doing well. But my parents weren't like super strict or anything.
But they made you go to college.
No.
Oh,
it was
really?
it was just expected. I mean, everybody goes to college in my town.
Yeah.
My high school, everybody. You go to some college at least.
Did you have that movie moment with your friends where you guys, it was like the last day of summer and you're like, all right, man, well, I'm going to OU, give them hell. And like all that, or like you guys had a long night with girls and one of you guys.
It was like a slow peel off.
Yeah.
But like I was the only one out of my friend group that like moved out. Everybody else went to college like in the area. But
Yeah.
I moved from the Bay Area to LA. I didn't even really go to college at that point. I just went to community college in LA. But I was trying to do like music.
Oh, yeah.
So I like left from I was like it was kind of a weird move in retrospect. But it was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go make it in LA. I was 18 years old. I didn't know anybody in LA.
Wow.
I just moved out. I lived in some guy's house that I just found like on Craigslist. Wasn't even like college student situation. I moved into like a weird like adult situation, and then I started working and went through it like that. But yeah, I mean, it would. In retrospect, it would have been a much easier path for me if I took something more structured and conventional.
Like what?
Nah, you go to college. If you go to a regular college with like dorms and stuff, then it's like they tell you, you're going to sleep here, you go to class, you work in this area. But I really like jumped into like being a regular adult pretty quick.
Dude, that's wild. You did 18. You went out to LA, bro. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
That takes some guts, dude.
In retrospect, though, I mean, like I didn't start doing comedy until like 10 years after that. But if I was one of these kids that we see that are doing open mics when they're 16,
You're 14.
14, it's like if I would have moved out to New York and gone through this bullshit part that we're going through now, got that out the way,
Yeah.
I'd be in it at this point.
Yeah, when you see these people that tell you, I've been doing comedy 20 years and they're 32 years old, it's like, dude, how?
Yeah, right. I wonder, though, I mean, like, I guess you don't see too many, like, when people talk about show business parents, it's always acting.
Yeah.
No, but there's no show business parents for writing or for, like, being a comedian or something.
Oh, it's interesting.
Everybody is, like, has their vision of their kid as being, like, Tobey Maguire or something.
Well, I seen the new ones, the new show business parents are the YouTube people. I seen a guy.
Yeah, right.
This dude on TikTok was bragging how his son's like 7 and made $1 million last year on his YouTube channel.
His son generated $1 million for the father.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's
Playing
the new
with
thing too,
toys.
where it's like, I mean, like parents now, where it's like, you have a kid and you think your kid's gonna be kind of cute. It's like, start giving that kid boxes to open.
Right.
Yep. Get them started now. Like I think when you're like when your kid's like, how old do you have to be to open a box? Like
At least
two and a half, maybe 3.
half.
Right around 2.5, 3. If I was like a parent and I had a kid now, I'd start just like giving the kid boxes with nothing in it at first.
Yeah.
Just get him practicing on the box opening skills.
Yeah, give them some scissors.
Yeah, right. Just throw a couple bananas in there.
Imagine the views. You give them a razor knife.
But I think not even that. It's just practice.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna practice holding my phone here. You're gonna practice opening a box and being surprised. And then by the time you're like 4 years old,
Yeah.
it's like you got that shit down.
And you got to make sure you give them one of those cool names like Dylan.
Is that a cool name?
I mean, come on. If they're like, now Dylan's opening boxes, you'd watch that.
Little Dylan.
If somebody's like, Joe's going to open this box, you'd be like, come on.
Right.
Why you name your kid Joe? Wait, he's going to be a plumber?
Well, it's like the kid's got to practice being like shocked
Yeah.
and being delighted. And if you have a kid who can like radiate delight, and it's like, yeah, that kid's going to be like, by the time they're 10 years old, they're already like an established brand.
Yeah. It's the modern day chimney sweeps. I hate
Yeah,
to
right.
say it.
Opening boxes. Who would have seen it?
Yeah. Dude, I wish I would have had something. I mean, here's the one thing what I noticed with I don't know about acting because I'm never really around it, but with comedy, when you see these guys that started when they were 12, a lot of them aren't really talking about anything. You know, I don't know if
They've been in clubs this entire time.
Yeah, they never got
They never
to
did like regular shit.
Yeah, like you talk to them, they never had a job. I don't know how I would be able to relate to all these people I'm in front of if I just never had a job ever in my life.
That's true, yeah. Even now, though, I mean, like, most of the time, you don't totally have to relate to the crowd as much as it is just like those guys, though. It's like when you've been on stage that much from that young of an age, there is something you can see in them.
Yeah,
just in a stage presence way.
Right.
Yeah.
They've been doing it forever, but yeah, I mean, you could tell this person's definitely seasoned a little.
Even that, though, still seems healthier than being like a kid who has to go to auditions every day.
Yeah.
And has to audition to be in Little Mermaid. And it's like how like a 6-year-old kid can handle that kind of pressure. Mind blowing to me.
Do you remember the kid at the creek? Everybody thought was funny to get him drunk and have him smoking weed and cigarettes. He was like 13.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he was actually 13. He was actually like 18, but he looked like he was like 10.
No, was he? Or are you just saying that for the? I'm
No.
talking about a kid that actually was young.
Oh, maybe we're talking about someone different.
Yeah, no, this kid was in high school.
Wow.
Dude, I swear he was like 13. I talked to him.
Jeez.
13, 14. They're like, yeah, we start him off early. People were making videos with him. I don't
Wow.
know where he's at now. Probably famous.
I feel like if you're a parent, one thing that you should always like a red flag you can see with your kids if your kid's going to be a weirdo. You never want to have kids that hang out with somebody who's more than 4 years older than them.
Right.
Your kids should always have friends that are just about their. It's not that hard to have friends your age.
Right.
When you're a kid, you're in school. Everybody in your grade is the same age. But did you grow up with any of these kids who were like 14 and they were just hanging out with grown men?
Dude, I've seen it. Dude, there was a girl. I remember she was 14 or 15, probably 14 to be honest with you. And her boyfriend was like 27 years old.
It's just like, it's dark, especially if it's like a girl.
Yeah.
Even if it's a guy, though. If it's just like a boy and he's like 8 years old and he's hanging out with teenagers.
Right.
And it's like, there's no way this is going to work out good for this kid.
Yeah, but the thing is, the one I'm talking about, it wasn't even secretive with the parents.
Yeah.
The parents would be cool with it.
Well, they're like, those kids are like proud of it.
They'll end up smoking cigarettes. They'll be making all the dumb mistakes that...
Even if it's like, even if you can avoid getting pregnant and like doing all this on drugs and alcohol, your brain gets fucked up.
Yeah.
If you're that young and you think that you're supposed to be older.
Most of the time when a parent lets something like that go down, it's because the parent's doing something messed up too.
Yeah.
And they got this mutual thing, hey, I won't tell on you, you don't tell on me.
But I think it's like emblematic of what if any kid who thinks he's cooler than people his age, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Even if the kid's not a total fuck up, it's like, no, this kid's got an ego.
Right.
He thinks he's too cool to play with cars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be done with him.
Yeah. He's gonna be one of these kids that like, he's like singing opera or something.
I remember my brother's 4 years older than me, and there was, his friends were a couple years older than him. So I was around kids that were 6 and 7 years older than me. And I quit playing with toys early because of that. And then I regretted it, and I tried to go back when I was like
I don't know.
14 or.
Try to go back to being a kid.
Oh, you can't do it.
But even if it's like you try to go to a different friend group and then you try to come back, it's like, nah, bro, it's too late.
Dude, yeah. You got to play with toys Donkey as long Kong as now. You could.
Yeah. Well, I think it's different if it's like you got an older brother, because I have an older brother too, so I'm hanging out with my older brother's friends, but it's the kind of kid who doesn't have friends his age.
Yeah, just
that's weird.
The neighborhood people come over. I'm going over Tony's. Be 50 years old.
Right, we're going to go watch football.
We had a step-uncle, Butch, and, I was told I was never allowed to hang out with him, and for good reason, because my cousins that did ended up getting on dope and in prison.
Yeah.
And Butch would, you get these people, they think they're doing good. The real problem is the person that's 50 hanging out with the 14-year-old.
Yeah.
It's like, even if it's nothing nasty, it's just, we're going to hang out. It's like, why?
Yeah. You don't got shit to do.
Right. Yeah. Well, they'll tell you, well, I figure I got to be a good step uncle. I showed him how to shoot dope. Don't want him killing himself.
Wow.
And it's like, then 10 years later, the dude kills himself on the dope. It's like, yeah, why don't you tell him, hey, never do this?
This was a red flag on both sides there.
Step uncle, dude, lived in a van. It's always the step uncle.
Well, it's funny because like there's always like a big debate whenever there's like, Robert De Niro is 70 and he's dating whatever 30-year-old or something, and there's like an age gap, and it's like I understand why that's gross, and it's like there's something a little weird about that, but it's also weird if they're just friends,
right?
If it's like anytime it's like, yeah, this guy's, imagine being like back when you were like 25, and it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna hang out with like a 13-year-old kid for a while.
Yeah, dude.
We're just gonna do regular shit. It's like something's weird about that.
That's why I never did the Big Brother program.
Yeah.
I remember everybody's doing it. I'm like,
creepy.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, you don't got shit your own age.
We're going to the batting cages. Those people are always weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's like an ego thing because you want to be like the guy who like knows how everything works, and you got a little kid who's looking up to you.
Yeah. I think the stereotypes around... I don't think I could even do it, to be honest with you. I think white people have developed, white guys, we have a stereotype for being such weirdos. If you seen me with a 13-year-old kid to go play baseball, you'd automatically, if you didn't know me, you would just be like, this is wrong.
Especially if the kid's Chinese.
But if I was black, you'd be like, hey, he's trying to help out.
This is OG.
Oh, you give me a Chinese kid? Are you kidding me? I knew a girl adopted a bunch of kids and gave them a paper route, and then she was getting money every year from them. The government pays you. She had like housing breaks. She was telling me, she's like, it's a great small business. She was trying to talk me into it.
Wow. It's one of those kids who just adopts a bunch of kids for the tax breaks.
They had paper routes.
Yeah.
Dude, they delivered every paper in the city.
Yeah.
These kids dragging the little paper bag. And I'd tell him, I'd say, James, I told you the front porch. And he'd be, okay. He didn't even know what he's doing.
Wow.
Delivering my paper, kid was like 5 years old. Before school, she'd drive him around.
Well, you figure, I mean, like, I guess we can judge these people, but I guess it's better than nothing, maybe, right?
Yeah,
kids are gonna be on the street. I guess you give them something to do.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well put them to work.
Yeah, right.
Adopt them and put them to work.
I guess you see it like if you're on the train now and it's a kid who comes in selling candy.
Oh yeah,
those kids. It's like it's not like they're not running a small business. This is like they're working for somebody else who like fronts them the candy.
Well, they're working for their mother or their father or their uncle.
It's their uncle probably.
Yeah,
I feel like it's their uncle who goes up to the Bronx and buys a box of M&Ms.
Yeah,
like, you gotta bring back $15.
Step uncle.
I'm gonna charge you $8. And it's
yeah,
like you get to keep the difference.
Teach you something about business.
Yeah, right.
Give them the money. Dude, I
feel bad for those kids, I guess.
Me too, dude. And, dude, that's even worse than that. Selling candy, please. Dude, I lived somewhere where the step uncle had people robbing. Did I ever tell you that story? I was living on Ravenwood. See, you moved out to a situation where you had an adulthood and you had somebody living there.
Yeah.
I moved out and I was the adult.
You bought a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You jumped to like 20 years.
No, I didn't have nobody there to be like, yeah, what are you doing? You don't light off fireworks in the house. Like,
right.
I'd be doing that stuff at 18 and 17.
Yeah.
And, but dude, we lived in, you live in shady places when you move out that young. because you can't get, dude, you're in high school. You can't really get a real house anywhere. And I was, I had one spot I lived at because it didn't have any water. The people didn't tell me either. And I honestly want to make amends with them, but they were like, yeah, no, they just let me move in with no paperwork, just on trust. And then I get there, and then there's like a $2,000 water bill that they left.
Right.
And so they shut off the water permanently. Then people told me, nah, I told you that you got to just every month put some money towards the water. They'll cut it back on. I'm like, dude, I'm not paying your water bill off.
Right.
Like, but dude, it was in the ghetto, dude, and we were living there. And there was kids stealing our stuff, dude, young, like 7 and 10.
Right.
And the uncle was outside, the step uncle. He was mad they didn't get it.
Wow.
I didn't know, dude. I grabbed my gun and run downstairs. They're kids. I'm like, guys, you got to leave. You know?
Yeah.
Kids just robbing my house, and I go outside. The step uncle's in the front yard. He's like, y'all ain't get this stuff? And I'm like, yo, man, what are you doing? He's like, they'll be back.
Well, I guess, I mean, at least you didn't shoot those kids, but it's like, I guess it is safer than an adult robbing you.
Right.
That adult would have got shot. So.
What if those kids shot me? I don't know if I could bring myself to shoot somebody.
Yeah, it's like, what do you even protect?
I'm a terrible shot anyway.
Yeah.
I went to go practice, dude, street lights. I couldn't hit a damn street light to save my life.
I think it's people like movies really give you an expectation of how good of a shot you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And just being able to, boom like that. I think it's much, much harder than people realize.
You don't realize, like, I don't know if this is all guns or the one I had, but some of these little 25 automatics, dude, you shoot them, you see the bullets just going. They're not going straight.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's designed for like close up, like this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, shooting somebody from this close, and even then, it's like that's why you're supposed to shoot center mass. And it's like when you watch movies, you watch John Wick, and he's just do double taps, and it's like, no, that's not how.
Yeah, you ever see, and especially once you get into those other movies where you see the people holding the gun sideways.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you trying to be cool doing that? Like,
yeah, it does look cool, but it's like, yeah, there's a reason why guns are designed in a certain way.
Right, and there's certain times when you need to look cool, and certain times where the job you're doing is more important.
You gotta handle business. Yeah, and hopefully the other guy is also trying to look cool with his gun, because we're in trouble then.
You're capping somebody sideways.
The other guy's using two hands with the scope.
And then you gotta have that conversation.
Yeah.
Half this shit is yours.
Yep.
And then the other dude's like, I just want my son back.
Hey, you're trying to get your little cool line in. But it's like,
J-Rock.
you would have been better off just squeezing.
J-Rock, tell your father what a man is. A man's somebody that provides for himself. Pap.
Yeah. Say hello to God.
10 years.
Yeah.
Your mom's on shrooms.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I could never. If somebody's robbing me, I don't know if I'd be able to pop them.
I think the only time I'd be able to do something like that is if I had kids and I thought they were going to get kidnapped or something.
Yeah.
But there's nothing else that I own that's like worth doing that over, I think.
Now, how's it work if your kid gets kidnapped? Do you still have to pay child support to the mother? I'm asking for a friend. No, I don't know.
Yeah,
what that is, dude. I feel bad.
You report that kid missing. It's like, nah, he's off the books now.
Yeah, because then you could just have him living with you, a little fake name, go down to Tijuana.
That's what I was thinking about, like kidnapping. It's like, it's such a weird crime to commit because it's like you are just taking a bill off of somebody.
Yeah.
So you got to feed this kid. So
right.
It's like you're just taking a responsibility from somebody else.
Well, I don't know if the people taking them are really feeding them, to be honest.
You got to feed. I mean, like, what's the point of kidnapping something if you're not going to keep it alive?
Right.
Unless you really are already going to flip it and sell it to somebody else. But it's like,
dude, did you see that thing in Cleveland? Like 30 kids went missing?
Nah.
I wonder what that shit's about.
Wow.
Dude, I've seen one on TikTok where the dude tried grabbing somebody's kid. And that is insane to me that somebody could even...
So much of this stuff on TikTok, though, it's just like people working themselves into a frenzy.
Right.
Thinking that like, Target parking lot. That's where they're getting kids
now.
Put
the zip tie.
Yeah.
Watch out for this.
Well, it's like they're like inventing hand signals that they got to give to each other. And like, if they put this on your door, then you're in trouble.
When I see these people going to court that did this crazy stuff and the father shoots the person, you got to give that father a pass. You better not give him crime. Like, you got to be like, look, we get it. 6 months probation.
You did what you had to do.
You did what you had to do.
Yeah. Even then, though, it's like if you're that father and you do go to jail, it's like, all right, that guy's in jail feeling pretty good.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, you never know. Yeah, I guess you would. You feel like, hey, I did it.
I bet even in jail, everybody's like, you know how they do to like child molesters in jail.
Right.
They do the opposite of that if you're that guy in jail.
These jail shows with the kids getting arrested, I've seen it, like people doing life at 14 and 15.
Yeah.
And I've known people that went to jail, and they told me, the sex shit's real. Like, you're getting banged in there, dude, whether you want to.
Well, it depends, I think, on like how long you're doing. If you're in those places where people are doing, life sentences, then yeah, I bet that's like that. But if you're just like in jail for a couple years and everybody else is only doing like 5 years, I don't think they're really banging like that.
Well, sometimes it depends on you could be in a pod with killers, even though it depends on the crime.
Right, yeah.
Like, I've had friends, some of my best friends did 10 years. And dude, they're like, look, man, your other friends try to joke around. You ever get banged in there? And you could see it on their face. They did.
Wow.
And they're like, why
shit
you
ain't funny.
Yeah. Try to eat dinner and shit, man.
Yeah.
Dude. But what they do in prison, the way they get you is they'll hold the razor up to your throat and then they make you put the Vaseline on your asshole yourself because
right.
They'll check if you say me and you were in prison and you wanted to bang me or say, you did. And then I go and say, yo, this guy, he banged me. They will check and see if you have Vaseline residue on your finger. Because if you do, then you could get in trouble for banging the dude. It's a crime in prison.
Oh, wow.
But if you're not cool with the depths, from what I hear, you want to be cool with the depths. Because if you're not, they'll just laugh when you're getting banged. They'll be like, hey, you're not so cocky now, are you?
Wow.
Look at his face. Look at his face. And
man, you're already in that fucked up situation as the prisoner, but then you got a guy making fun of you too.
Right.
That's a double.
And not to mention, it's like, yeah.
I'm already kicking me when I'm down. Come on.
And there's no protection involved.
Yeah.
But when you see, oh man, this is crazy. This guy, he got sentenced to life when he was 15.
Yeah.
I almost think I would rather be sentenced to life at 15 than 20 because you know how they feel about pedophiles in prison. Nobody's gonna bang that kid. Like, you got 5 years.
The thing is, I think if you're that kid and you get banged, it's like, I mean, that's like the top. You're getting banged by the king at that point.
You think so?
Yeah.
I thought they hate pedophiles in prison, though.
Well, I think like the lower levels do. But I think once you get to like, Vito Corleone level, it's like that guy can do what he wants.
Oh, yeah.
He's the guy in there.
That's like getting fresh oysters.
Yeah. Once you're like, that's like the Kevin Hart of jail.
Yeah.
It's like, he's got carte blanche.
Bring him to me. Like that Van Damme movie.
Yeah.
You get a little, you taste a little.
God.
Yo, dude, it's wicked, but that's how people live, man. And then if you have no money in jail, like Florida jails, you're screwed. You need to have money or you're getting beat up or banged, dude.
Wow.
Florida jails are no joke, man. Those cats are wild boys down there.
You ever seen those prison shows about jail in like Cambodia or like one of those like tropical countries?
No, I want to.
Where the jail is like a city. Where it's like the jail is that they just put you in the jail and then everything in the jail is run by the prisoners.
Wow.
But it's almost like it's a better system because you end up, it's like if you just put a bunch of guys together and you lock them in a cage and you give them all the food at once, they make their own little government.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
there's going to be
would.
one strong, it's like the way you see like an ant colony where there's like a queen bee, a queen ant, and then there's like a little bureaucracy that forms around them with lieutenants and like there's levels to it.
Yeah.
People if you just give a bunch of guys, let them figure it out themselves. They'll figure out a system.
It'll probably be a similar system to what we have here.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like it's in their best interest to keep things orderly.
Yeah.
They don't want to, they don't want it to become chaos because they got to live with it too.
Keep the money moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going to be really who's stronger and who's not. It's the same thing when you're out. Who's the crazy one?
Right. Man, going to prison overseas, though, I always think it's like no air conditioning.
Yeah.
It's all sweaty.
It's got to be terrible. But isn't there some prisons like that are even nicer like overseas? Like, isn't the prison in Japan nice?
I think it's nicer.
It's more like a holding cell. They don't.
Yeah.
But are people really committing? What type of crimes are people committing in Japan? Like,
Not as much, not very much, but like the prisons, the legal system in Japan, it's like if you get arrested and you get charged with a crime, it's like that's it. You don't even got to get. I mean, the conviction is like it's happening. Everybody gets convicted.
Oh wow.
So it's not like America where it's like you could get a good lawyer and it's like maybe you get a jury or something, but it's like no, if you get arrested in Japan, you're out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know China, you can't, I don't know if that's all of Asia or maybe it's Japan, maybe you know the phones, you can't get all the iPhones, even if you silence it, the camera still goes chick because of all the perverts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Hey man. A lot of people are perverts.
Yeah. I mean, in America, people are probably still doing that same shit.
Yeah.
You get perverts everywhere. Are they worse overseas?
Yeah. It's funny that we were talking earlier about like people move abroad.
Yeah.
And you're trying to like escape things. But it's so funny to me that so many like, because now there's like a lot of old people in America who like move overseas to retire just because it's cheaper. But like, what is that like to be 65 years old and you've spent all this time working and living in America and then just up and move to Cambodia?
I don't know if Cambodia would be the one. I don't know what it looks like there. A lot of people.
It's like a tropical country.
Oh, so maybe it's pretty. I know a lot of people that will go to Mexico when they're on the run. I don't know if it's some system what we don't deal with Mexico.
Yeah.
Because if you got like 80 grand in Mexico, certain parts of Mexico, you're set.
I always feel like what's that like to be just like as an experience, just knowing that like, because you get that old, most old guys, it's like you get stuck into a routine.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I know where I go to get eggs and I know this and I go to here's my dentist here and I know this bartender for 100 years. But then it's like, it's almost like being born again.
It definitely is.
You're in a brand new country.
Being what they always wanted to do. Like I've came across older people in my life that completely changed when they were about 75
wow.
or 70 because they just do what they want. Like, dude, I met one person on a cruise once, and they were, an older lady. She fought in the war, I guess, in like Vietnam. She fought in Vietnam.
Hey, what?
Yeah, she was in the Navy, but she was a man before. Married, 3 kids. And she actually worked for, I guess she was telling me she worked for the CIA and had clearance cards and all this pressure her whole life. And she just said, when I turned 75, I got breast implants. It was hard for her to even find a doctor to do it.
Right.
And then she's like, I always wanted to be a woman. And she's like, my biggest regret in life, this is what she told me, was never having a dude bang me up the ass. And she's like, I don't know if I waited too long. It's crazy.
Since you're in your 70s, it's like you're gonna hurt yourself at that point.
But also, it's like, that's a crazy big regret to have. Like, I don't know, who am I to judge?
Well, I mean, it's like if you just never had sex the way you want to, I guess.
Yeah.
People are thinking like that, but yeah, that's the problem though. Is that if you wait that long to chase your dreams, it's like you can no longer pull that. You're gonna hurt your legs.
Right.
Yeah.
People do it. I know another guy. He's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna go to Mexico. He's been saying it for 20 years. He has the countdown. He's like, I think the retirement age is 68 now.
Yeah.
He's like, when I'm 68, which is crazy for a retirement age. If you don't have a government job, dude, you're pretty much working from the time you're about 12 or 14. I don't know when people start working. 14.
Yeah.
Till you're 68.
Yeah. I mean, that's only going to get higher, too.
How?
Social Security? Well, it's like that's how people live longer now. When they first made the Social Security age at 65, people used to live until they were 72. Now people live until they're like 90.
Wow.
So it's like, unless you really have money saved up, it's like you got to live somehow at the end.
It's the prison system. They're like, we're changing that a little.
But even though, I mean, like, if you're 75 years old, I mean, your body is, even if you're in shape, your body is still kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And so now you got to be kind of fucked up and you got to live in Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
You got to live in somewhere where you don't speak the language, really, and it's like you don't know how to get on a bus.
Or
like,
you don't know how to tell people to bang you up the ass. You'll be like, perquito?
Yeah, they just... they keep pouring stuff down there, and you're
Chicho.
like, no, yeah. You got your little dictionary out.
Yeah.
You got Google Translate.
And I don't know how they feel about that. You can't just go up to some of these Mexican gangbangers and tell them to, put it inside.
Right. Hey,
Perquito.
Aquí.
Yeah.
Aquí. Por favor.
Oh man, I'm gonna end up going to another place when I have money. I think I could totally see myself
I bet the fantasy though for most of these guys who dream about like retiring abroad, it is like I'm gonna get 22-year-old wife.
Yeah, probably.
I spend my whole life not getting girls or just like struggling so hard, and it's like once I get some money, I'm gonna move to the Philippines, and they have that vision in their head, Marlon Brando kind of guy.
Yeah.
Where it's like I'm gonna just get 2 girls and do all this weird porn shit.
Right.
But I bet most of the time it's not as cool as it sounds.
I guarantee you it's not. I
You're
know
65
guys that do that.
and you're trying to, I don't know, you're taking Viagra or something. And
Testosterone.
Yeah.
Dude, I know plenty of guys that do that. What they do, well, now it's more common than ever because nowadays you can go on Instagram or these things. Girls are selling sex nowadays. It's empowering themselves. I hate to say it.
It's like, OnlyFans, but for like Filipinos.
Right. And they got girls right around. Dude, I'm sure I got nobody in New York. He's probably 60 himself, but he's fit. And dude, that's what he does. He'll throw girls. He'll throw girls like $200 or $400 to come over and bang them on camera.
Oh, wow.
And he'll have their face out of it. It's just like his thing. And he'll get 2 girls, and he drops a lot of money. And I seen the girls are like, they're all like 20, 21. To them, it's a fun experience.
Oh, wow.
But
I mean, like that guy, it's like, how long can you keep that going? That's my thing.
It wouldn't be for me because I would just feel like I'm definitely getting used. But you know what else is crazy? These younger girls, they go after older guys. Like even me.
Some younger girls, yeah.
I'm like, what's your problem? I had a girl come up to me not that long ago, just really like, she's like telling me she's 19 or about to be 19. And I'm like, listen, go be a child still.
Yeah.
Like, you're 18 years old.
Give it a shot.
What are you doing?
Yeah, don't give up until you're 30.
Yeah, I'm 20 years older than you.
Eh.
And some guys, they'll hop on that in a heartbeat.
What's so funny, though, is that, like, all these guys who have that fantasy of, like, I'm going to get that Filipino girlfriend.
Yeah.
She's going to be 20 years old. I'm going to be 75. They all think that, like, oh, this girl is just going to, like, look up to me and she's going to be all nice to me. But there's a really good chance that by the time you get to that age, people at the Philippines they've also been coming up this whole time.
Yeah.
So that girl is also she's going to make fun of you.
Right.
It's not going to be as cool as it sounds.
She's going to have you on TikTok. She'll be like, I'm with my bank card.
Yeah,
She'll
look
call
at this
you.
piece of shit.
Right.
Yeah, she's going to be live streaming. Everybody's going to be making fun of you.
I can't believe I'm kissing him. What? Yeah, what's the problem?
Yeah, right. Look how much Viagra he took.
And you're going to
Still
see
can't get it up.
Yeah. Your kids that haven't spoke to you in 20 years are going to be on the live.
And that whole time you were like, I mean, these guys work so hard to save up all that money. And just imagine, the end of your life, you're just disappointed.
Right. And she's running through that shit in weeks.
Too, that you're in like the Philippines and you're just on Google like, all right, what's another poor country?
Well, the thing is, those countries, they're so much smarter. I don't want to say smarter, but, they're in America, like, I think it's a little different to where in the Philippines, this girl's going to take care. She's going to hustle you.
Right.
In America, I don't know if it's the same. I feel like, these girls in America, they actually are just here for the ride. Like, they'll be
right.
Like, it'll be a fun experience with their friends. But the girl in the Philippines is like, she's transferring over bank information to her family.
Yeah, well, it's more, I think it's more understood.
The transactional period.
It's transactional, and it's like you go into it knowing that this isn't about love. This is there's a reason why this is happening.
Right.
Whereas in America, I think you got to pretend a little bit more up top.
Yeah.
Even if you see like old guy who's with young girl here, it's like they still got to put up that front. And they got to post that Instagram photo where they look like they're really,
Yeah, trying to fall in love.
Yeah.
Me personally, it's like when you see these guys bragging about how their girlfriend's 21 and they're 40, I see this all the time, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you proud you manipulated a 20-year-old? That's easy. Go manipulate a girl that's 30.
Right.
Get her
manipulate
to
a guy.
Right.
Yeah, let's see that. I'll be impressed.
Yeah.
Go manipulate a smart gay guy.
Dude, fuck that. A guy from a cartel.
Oh, yeah.
Get him to hang out with you in a dress.
Let's see how well he can fight.
Yeah.
And I'll be impressed.
Yeah, look at my girlfriend. He's got razor blades in his mouth.
But I think it's just like so many people go through life, like so much of regular life in America is so, there's no dignity to it and there's no pride. You just spend all day. I mean, that guy probably spends 40 years working, not being the manager, just getting shit on the entire time.
Right.
In his head, he's like, he's counting down the days. So I'm going to be the king. Once I get this money up, I'm going to move to Cambodia and become a king. Everybody's going to look up to me. And then you get to Cambodia and you're still a loser.
Right.
Think about that.
Yeah.
All the little kids are playing soccer, making fun of you.
Yeah. Maybe you could pay a few people to fan you down with leaves.
Yeah, right.
But that's
how long does that last?
Right.
Those kids are all in college. They're learning how to code.
Right.
They got ChatGPT over there too.
Yeah.
AI is going to fuck it up for these guys.
Yeah. They're sick of putting on the little outfits. It's like, right? We're done.
Feed yourself grapes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. At a certain point, it's like, God damn, I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
These little kids, it's like, I got a podcast to record, but you better, fan yourself.
I got to find a cure for Alzheimer's.
Right. I got stuff to do. I'm a Cambodian kid who's got a future ahead of him. It's like,
the worst is those people that come back. Like, I knew one dude, he was like, did his FUs to everybody. And he went to like Grand Cayman. I don't know how. He found some girl like right outside of Florida, 40-minute flight from Florida. So it's still, you're not really that far from the U.S.
Right.
But he manipulated some girl over there, I guess. And he ended up marrying her for citizenship.
Wow.
And he ended up coming back, though, because, dude, you can't just go to Grand Cayman. Like,
I mean, you got to go with the plan.
Right.
You really got to have like a bunch of money. It's like, first I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to start selling some diamonds.
Right.
And get some, like, I'm going to, start selling coke or something. But it's like, that's the other problem with retiring is like, it's one thing if you retire in your hometown and it's like, where everything is. It's like, here's the baseball diamond and go to the gym here. If you retire overseas, you don't have a routine.
Right.
So it's like, even if you have that hot 20-year-old wife, it's like, what do you do all day?
Right.
You're just stewing in it.
Because there's no jobs. Like, what jobs are you going to do? Stand outside and roll cigars? Like,
well, do you need, like, old people got to stay busy.
Right.
That's the key to being old. I'm learning from my parents is that you really got to have a habit. You got to have, like, you're not taking time off. Even if you're not working, you got to do shit or you just lose your mind.
You need that house up in the mountains.
Well, you need like a wooden thing to whittle, or you got to make some like model airplanes or something.
Oh, yeah.
You got to keep yourself busy. I mean, you can only fuck that young life for so long.
Right.
And then eventually your back hurts. And then what do you do?
Yeah, and honestly, it's like, are you really gonna? I mean, you're gonna get bored of anything like that. Like, I get bored. 1 week I'm on vacation, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Day number 5, I'm like, all right.
Well, you just need something to do. You can only lay on the beach for like a couple hours.
Right.
You go in the water for an hour. You eat some pineapple, and then it's like, it's only 2:00. It's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
I'll tell you what a lot of people do. They end up retiring and going to Europe. You ever been to a Europe beach? They're all topless.
Oh, right.
These old guys just walk around with their phone recording girls all day, topless.
Even that, though, it's like, it's got to get old.
Right.
Everything gets old. That's the thing is that, like, it's all about, people have a fantasy of what retirement's going to look like, and their retirement in their head is a vacation.
How long do you think it takes for somebody to actually get old? Like, say you were to go out, like, because we were talking about how you could, we could go out. I didn't know people could just come to America, take out a bunch of loans, and go back to DR, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because, if we do that, they will attach your wages. So you would just think, like, well, why isn't everybody doing that? But, say somebody were to go out and start scamming at around 45, 50.
Yeah.
Do you think when they hit 62, they're not going to be recognizable anymore? Or 72?
I mean, it depends how sophisticated you are at scamming. Because if you are the kind of guy who's just like running up credit cards and it's like, hey, pay this card off with this other card and you're running that, it's like that credit. If you're staying in America, they don't forget about that.
Right.
Credit card company, they're always going to go after you at some point.
And the checking to cash scams, like, dude, the way these printers and Apple computers work, man, people took it to a whole nother level. I don't know if anybody's onto this yet, but remember, we had the car scam before.
Yeah.
And I thought I had a good scam by buying a cheap car that doesn't even run for like $250, and we'd legit tow it to the place with our car with a chain.
Right.
And one person's riding the brakes and the one in the back,
Yeah.
so you don't hit each other. And dude, we just have it in the parking lot. We'd show up early. Oh yeah, I left it there. I had to go to work. Can you appraise it? I'll pick it up after.
Oh.
They don't even know that the car don't run.
Wow.
Left it unlocked,
Yeah.
and and then we would get like a loan for $3,500 off that $200 car,
Right.
and they would have the title.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So now what people were able to do with MacBooks, I heard this little scam on the street, was you can make an identical title now with a MacBook
Right.
that looks exactly like a real title.
Like a car title?
Yeah, you got a friend that's a
Yeah.
notary, throw them $20, they'll
Yep.
notarize it. You could have 20 titles for the same car
Yeah.
and take out all those loans in one day, come up in $30,000 in 8 hours.
Right.
But then you do got to go to DR or somewhere.
That's the question is always when any of these scams, it's like, what you got to have an end game going into it. Because it's like, even if somebody just gave you like $300,000 in cash right now,
Yeah.
I mean, unless you got to find any place, if you're trying to find an apartment, you got to find a shady apartment who's going to take cash from you.
Yeah.
You can't make a paper trail. You can't put it anywhere.
That's where you need a girl.
That's where you need it. But it's like, what seems pretty simple in your head is I'm going to be rich. I'm going to get an apartment and a car. If you're doing it all in cash, everything becomes more complex.
Yeah.
Trying to do things off the books.
Well, you got to get a girl to be your front person, and you're just funding everything.
But then even then, it's like, then you got other shit to worry about there.
Oh, yeah.
There's
you
never
piss her off.
Yeah. And you can never like report anything.
Right.
You get you get into an accident, your insurance situation's weird.
Oh, and then medical.
Yeah. So, I mean, like any of those guys who have like the guy we know who's on the run.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think you're not going to starve to death because you can always work and
Sell fruit.
get a cash job. You work as a mover, you work
Right.
as whatever. But it's like, if you can never, the system is there for a reason.
Yeah.
You always got to work within the system because once you try to start going out of the system, you realize why the system is there.
Yeah. Living off the grid. I don't, man,
Think about it too. If it's like if you move to the Philippines when you're 65, you got to move to a place where the government doesn't even work.
Huh.
You move to a place and you end up having to bribe all these people.
Yeah.
You're paying in cash. You don't know if this guy's ripping you off.
Right.
I don't even know if guns are legal.
That is wild. What limit of stealing do you have to do you think? Where's the limit where you could actually get in some shit? Like, where's the FBI step in? You think it's got to be $1 million? Like,
It depends who you're stealing it from.
Oh, that's interesting.
If you're taking it from like a bank and you really scam a bank, that bank they have a connection to the FBI and they have people they can contact. But if you're just like scamming people, I think it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you I worked for a scammer, dude. He was so good, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know how somebody gets so good and they're not in prison. Another thing, dude, he was a heroin addict. There's something about drug addicts. They're just naturally the best scammers. I feel like they make the best salesmen.
They need it the most.
Yeah.
It's not even just like this guy wants to get a PlayStation. It's like, no, he's trying to not be sick.
Dude, I'm moving him. And he shot up some dope and gnawed off, dude. He's messed up bad. And he's like, I have to lay here. I can't move. I push too much.
Wow.
And dude, I'm just sitting there like, are you going to be all right? And he's like, yeah. He's just laying there like this. And dude, I'm moving all his boxes of fake IDs.
Wow.
Like the dude had 4,000 IDs he made, like
Man.
fake IDs. And he was telling me, dude, he had an Escalade. He's like, yeah, I got to get rid of it in a few days. And I'm like, why? It still had the 30-day tag on it. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, scammers love to tell you they're scammers. That's where they all fall down. They got to brag to somebody.
Yep.
So he's trying to buy me stuff. He's like, let's go to Marshall's. I'll buy you some clothes. I've never worked for somebody to try it. I'm like, I'm all right. And he's like, no. And like, he bought me 2 coffees. He's like, I just got you an extra one. When I seen the 2 coffees, the fake credit cards, I said, okay, he's going to scam me too.
Right.
And he did. He got me. I moved all his stuff, busted my ass, dude, and moved him into one of those offices that you rent. And they kept saying, they were like, listen, You cannot live here. I know what you're up to.
Wow.
And dude, he was living there.
Wow.
He rented one of the offices in New York, 24-hour access,
Man.
300 or 400 a week. It's a little room inside a multiple office space.
Yeah, it's a WeWork or something.
Yeah. And I don't know how long he got away with it.
Man.
I scammed a storage unit once. I got to move in and live there.
Yeah.
I had no money, dude. Well, I don't know if I really scammed them, but I lived there for a month, dude. I slept there during the day. They had no clue.
That is not scamming. You paid for a business and you used it like in a different way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess that's not a scam, but every day I slept there from like, from when it would open up at like, I think 5:30 a.m.
Wow.
And then I just lay on cardboard in my little unit.
See, it's crazy when you hear about a scammer like that, though, because it's like you would think that when you're at that level of elite scamming, you got to be even more disciplined than a regular person. Because you're trying to live two lives at once. You're trying not to get caught up in all this shit.
You got to be slightly bipolar.
But I mean,
that cheat.
Well, no, I mean, in my mind, it's like, remember that Robert De Niro movie? I think, is it Ronin or something? He's like the assassin.
I didn't see it.
And he's like super, I don't even remember parts of it, but he's like super disciplined. It's kind of like Heat.
Yeah.
Where he's like, this is the guy who's always planning ahead. He always feels there's something coming on. He sleeps exactly this much time.
Yeah.
When you look at his closet, everything's folded up a certain way. If you're going to be a scammer, you got to be like that.
Yeah.
But it's like that guy who's a junkie and he's trying to do all this shit. It's like, think about how many plates are spinning in his head at the same time.
Bro, and not to mention how many people are coming after you.
Yeah.
People come after everybody. Like, dude, I was researching that tech guy that got killed on the Lower East Side a few years ago. What was that about, man? Somebody got his ass.
Yeah.
Cut him up and killed him, snuck in, professional building.
Well, you just know it was like he was up to some shit.
It had to be.
Yeah.
There's the one TikToker, I think, that went missing for exposing casino secrets on gambling.
Oh, well, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, dude. What?
Yeah.
They just said the casinos ain't playing. They'll break your wrist.
Yeah.
Tell me you got hit by a car.
The lesson in all of this is that there's a reason why things are the way they are. You know what I mean? There's a reason why 65-year-old guys generally don't have a 20-year-old wife.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why you're supposed to just retire in your hometown and work a regular job.
Yeah.
Because once you start trying to like, oh, I'm going to be the guy who does it different, your life gets fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's like you think that you found a way out of the system, but it's like, no, you just found a way. You're a bunch of other shit's going to go wrong for you now.
And there's some people that, like, I do the cruise ships, and there's people that retire on them cruises. They go, hey, I figure I got 5 more years of good life left. Instead of being in hospice, I'm going to be here. And they'll tell you, sometimes I don't know where I am. And they'll go missing. Somebody went, and then you find them, and they were like in a broom closet sleeping. It's like, wow. What the hell are you doing with yourself?
Man, that's what a way to, the last years of your life.
Yeah.
I like that. You got some fucking stand-up comedian who keeps walking in on you.
Yeah.
When you're just passed out in the broom closet.
Pulling you out. Yeah, talking about you. Huh? Hey.
Well, so think about it. It's either... Would you rather be that, or would you rather be the 65-year-old who never left Youngstown?
That's a good point.
The guy who's just he sits on his porch, and then during the day, then at night he goes inside and sits on his couch and watches TV.
You know, he
eats his little like microwave meal.
Yeah.
A little can of tuna every once in a while.
And I've talked to those people, and their regret is not doing it. My grandmother, she was telling me, how she always, when I used to ask her, should I move to New York? She's like, go, just go. There's things I wish I would have done. And I always thought I'd always have time to do it.
Right.
And then she's like, she told me, sad truth, I guess. But when you get older, she's like, when you really look back, you may think 30 years is a long time. But, think back to when you were 7. That was 30 years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
Right.
It's a blink of an eye ago.
Yeah.
So when you're 77, it's going to be one more blink.
Maybe I got to revise my statement where it's like, all right, if you're going to go to the Philippines and fuck the 22-year-old girl, do it for like a week.
Right.
Yeah. Get back on the boat and go home.
And
don't try to don't think that you're going to become a king in these other countries.
Yeah.
If you're a loser here, you're going to be a loser there too.
Right.
It's just, all right, maybe you get to, get your rocks off.
Yeah.
But it's like, get it out of your system. Get back on the ship and like get the fuck out of there.
Right.
Don't be the guy who's hanging around.
Yeah, just hanging out, waiting to go next.
Yeah, right.
You got your is Moon ready yet?
Yeah,
no,
right.
Moon's still in there.
Yeah, you're all red looking and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to get your sunscreen, but they don't got it there.
Yeah.
They're selling you some cheap shit.
Telling all those old stories. Oh, back in the day, we'd go out to disco.
Yeah, right. Yeah, do it once.
Yeah. I knew a group of guys, man. They were all married, and their whole goal was to go to Ensenada and bang hookers. They couldn't. They're car salesmen, surprise,
Right.
But they were all married, group of guys. They married their high school sweethearts. You know how they do it in these small towns.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, one of them got divorced in the group. His wife left him, and he took all his money. So his friends brought him out there to cheer him up. And that's what they did to cheer him up. They had him. He banged a hooker for 2 minutes in the dirt in some back hole in Ensenada behind a taco shop.
Wow.
And I know the spot. Not that I've ever been there, but
Yeah.
you walk by it and you see it's very open in Ensenada.
Right.
They don't hide it. They're like, hey, you want to fuck for 100?
Wow.
And anyways, they took him there, and that was that was his thing.
I mean, that's that post-nut clarity kind of thing, though. Where it just in a blink of an eye, in an immediate moment, you're just like, what did I just do? Was that worth it?
Yeah.
Could I have done this in Ohio?
Oh my God, your feet are in the dirt. Chickens running around.
Well, you're just thinking all right, I got to back on this flight tomorrow.
Go see my wife.
Yeah, and it's I don't know, maybe I could have found an easier way to do this.
Yeah.
I didn't got to come all the way out here and get sunburned.
Yeah, I was on the ocean. And when you go to Ensenada, they take you slow. It's right by California, but they got to make it a trip. You know?
Yeah.
Can't just take you there in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So, you're a whole week. It's a week venture when
Right.
you're going there. And then you got 3 days to just wonder, okay, is any diseases going to pop up? Am I going to get any lesions?
Oh, my God.
Bring it back to my wife, my loving wife of my 4 children.
Yeah.
And some guys, it's other plans. Like, some guys are like, their whole life goal is to go live outside. I knew one dude, he was married, dude.
Oh, like in the woods or something?
Yeah, and that was his whole thing. And he just, what do you call it, dude? When he hit a certain age, he set up a tent in his backyard and just lived in it.
Wow.
Fucked his kids up.
Didn't even go out into the woods.
No, his backyard had some woods.
Yeah.
Florida guy. But,
I can almost respect that, though. I mean, not that particular, but the kind of guys who it's I'm just going to move into nature.
Right.
That is actually the most living according to the earth kind of way.
Right.
Where it's if you're 70 years old and you're living in the mountains and you're a hermit and you live in it's all just around trees, and then you're 75, 80 years old and you get killed by a bear.
Right.
That is that's what God intended for you right there.
And that's a good way to go out.
Yeah, at least that bear gets to eat, and it's you get to really you're living like an animal then.
You're catching fresh salmon. I feel like I didn't really start living my life fully till I moved to New York. You have to chase your dream to live your life.
Right.
In Ohio, dude, I was just working and getting drunk. Oh, it's dollar beer nights at Minsky's. And we're all down there, same Affliction t-shirts, 7
Right.
dudes,
Yeah, it's a good life, though.
Yeah.
It can be.
I guess.
It depends for some people.
Getting shut down by underage girls that are 20 that snuck in. They ain't even old enough to drink.
Yeah.
You're buying them. Those bars, we all drank at those bars when we were 18. I didn't even know the legal drinking age was 21.
Wow.
These small towns, I'm like, what are you talking? I remember we went to Pittsburgh, a bigger city, and we were 19, and they ID'd us. We're like, dude, we're fucking 19.
You didn't even put a fake ID.
Yeah, what do you mean we can't
give them
drink?
your regular ID. That's so funny.
I was so shocked. I'm like, how long has this been a law? Because, dude, I swear I've
Are
been
you
going
kidding
to
me?
Yeah. I've been going to bars since I was 16.
This is some new shit.
Yeah. Nobody ever cared ever when I went to bars.
You don't understand. I want a Bud Light.
Yeah. I don't know if I said it wrong.
That's funny.
Some weird rule here.
Some of that big city shit.
Yeah. Dude, we had dollar beer nights, man. Jägermeister.
All right.
And dude, even before that, we used to go to the club just to go see all the drama of the nightclub.
Right, yeah.
People getting thrown out, people getting knocked out, man.
Yeah.
That I don't know how much of a life that really is. You know what that life is? It's a bunch of guys sucking up to some girl. You always get that cool girl in the group. She comes up with her own language and everybody starts doing it. You know, you only got to be slightly hot enough, have a couple tattoos.
Yeah, she kind of like, oh, this girl's down.
Right. And she might...
You kind of imply it a little bit, flirt a little bit. Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's down.
She'll be like, oh, it's Beano time. And then all of a sudden, all these guys that actually, they own houses and cars. And they're successful. And they're listening to this little 18-year-old. Hey, guys, it's Beano time. Like,
right.
And then that's on social media for your wife to see. Oh, did you have fun on Beano time?
Yeah.
Night at the disco. Or whatever.
You know, the one thing we haven't mentioned in all of this, though, is what happens to that wife. She never has the fantasy of moving to Ensenada.
Yeah.
It's the dude fantasy.
Well, she got to do her thing before she got married.
I guess.
That's how it works out. Dude, are you kidding
I don't know. I
me?
guess she keeps the house. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but she did it all. She's like, dude, are you kidding? I don't want to be any more of a whore. Do you know what I've done growing up?
Right, yeah.
It's like I'm trying to forget about that life.
Right, yeah. I guess she's living, she just gets to hang out.
Yeah, dude, because that's the opposites of that. Sadly, that's how it works. You could be the day a girl turns maybe 20 or when she becomes an adult, 21. Now she's just... It's a free-for-all. She meets some guy with a monster truck, then she's in his monster truck. You know,
right.
It's like anything. If she got, we're going on trips to Paris. How'd you go to Paris? Well, I met some guy that, he's in an unhappy marriage. He took me to Paris, bitch.
Right.
But then that 37-year-old girl, she's going to go to, or 52-year-old girl, she's going to go to the Philippines, and what, do you think her worth is going up there?
Right, that's true.
She's around all these gorgeous Filipino 22-year-old girls fanning people for 30 cents an hour.
Right.
It's a different type of life. She's going to go there.
I think, in the end, though, the wife in the situation has a much more dignified existence.
Yes, she does.
Than the
without
guy.
a doubt.
I mean, the guy is still running around trying to make up for lost time or something.
Yeah, we're scum.
Yeah, well, it's like that, especially that kind of guy who has that fantasy of moving overseas. It's like... No, like I said, you're better off in the system.
Right.
I mean, like, you think you're too cool for the system, but the system is there for a reason. Don't think that's the message in all this is don't think you're better than anybody else.
Yeah.
We all got to go through this shit.
That's what happens. People start to think, oh, I could do better than her.
Yeah.
She's getting older, but... Dude,
no, we're all getting old, and life's getting it bad for everybody, but it's going to... Don't try to go off and do your own thing because it's going to go bad for you.
That's like the one bad thing about how guys, we age well. Like I could be 50 and there could be an honest 25-year-old that finds me hot at 50.
Right.
But the thing is, she's not going to be the right girl for me.
Yeah.
Like what type of conversations? I asked my friend who he loves 22-year-olds and he's, like I said, he's like 60, bro.
Wow.
And I'm like, what type of conversations are you, like, what are you building here? What are you doing? Like when I'm with a girl that I'm dating for a while, you get those things, you care about them.
Right.
Like, you hear the way they say hello and you just love that.
Right,
like,
right.
You're like, I love how she says I want more. Like if you're at a candy store, this 22-year-old girl or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It sounds
lame.
A
little different.
But like you ever dating somebody for a while and they'll just be like, I don't know. I want some chips if there's any extra. And you're just like, my God, it makes my heart melt.
Yeah.
There's no 22-year-old that's going to say, and then they got the mother gene with these women. They need to take care of us a little when we get older. And
right.
Women naturally have that motherly gene,
Some of them, yeah.
Where they're like, they'll just be like, no, you got to do this. Like, they learn from their mother. And it's cool when they're 40 and wise, but you get some 20-year-old with that motherly gene. You got to put salt on your cheese. They'll tell you like the dumbest.
And you're in your 60s. You're like, the fuck do you know?
Right.
Yeah, right. I voted for Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, and they gotta let it go. I'm not playing. Put salt on it.